Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast. My name is Amanda and this is episode 76 of my podcast. This is a knitting and crochet podcast and I'm coming to you from Derby in the UK. Today is a Sunday the 1st of September. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, just gone 3 o'clock. Apologies for the lighting. It's a very warm, sticky day today, and I've struggled a little bit to find somewhere where there's a bit of air coming through, so I've got the door open there. The office is just a mess, if I'm totally honest, and really hot in there. So I'm recording in our sort of like extension area. I'm not a professional podcaster. The lighting is as it is. So actually, when I tried holding some things up, I think it's just my face that looks a little bit in shadow, which I thought would be okay because there is some, like, we've got skylights here, but anyway, it is what it is. So welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are a regular subscriber, welcome back, lovely to see you. And if you are new to the channel, as I say, my name is Amanda and this is my little podcast. I've got lots to get through with you today actually, although I haven't got many finished objects, though I have got a few. I've got lots of things to show you, lots of things to talk about, new cast ons, acquisitions. I've been on holiday. I do try and stick to knitting or crochet chat as much as possible and not go off on tangents too much, but you know, so it could be a long one, even just sticking to knitting and crochet. So you may want to get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, a gin and tonic, whatever works for you, and of course some kind of project to work on. And thank you for joining me. So yes, I'm going to talk about, shall I stop talking about what I'm going to talk about and just get on with it? Right, first thing I'm going to talk about, I've actually got some notes today, which is pretty unusual. Normally I just wing it, but then I get to the end and kind of go, oh, I forgot to say this or I forgot to say that. So I've got some notes with me, and the first thing I'm going to talk about and show you is actually something that was up on the wall behind me last podcast, and a few of you asked about it. Some of you messaged or put on the YouTube comments, what is the blanket behind you? And it wasn't a blanket actually, it is a wrap technically, though to be fair, it's so big you could definitely use it as a blanket. And this was a wrap, an advent wrap, designed by Penny Baker, and this advent is a Little Likac advent, so one of my own, from last year, which was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And as you can see, it is a very long wrap, and I have it down in the office. So if I am, our office is in our garden, so it can get very cold in there in the winter, and I have to say this is fabulous as a cross between a blanket, a wrap, a shawl. So it's called the Enchanted Delight Advent, or the Enchanted Delight Wrap. It is available on Payhip and Ravelry, and the designer is a friend of mine, Penny Baker Knits. So yeah, it is a really lovely design, and you could, I think actually Penny was talking about doing a blanket version of it, but you could probably, I don't think she's done that yet, but you know, if you bought the pattern, it is a paid for pattern. It was a free pattern for those people who bought my advent last year, but it is available. So what I was going to say is, yeah, you know, if you made it shorter, it could make a smaller blanket, or you could make it wider. You could work out how to do that. So that is the wrap that was behind me last week. This one behind me this week, not last week, 3 weeks ago since the last podcast. This one behind me is a Lucy Attic 24. Yeah, Attic 24 pattern. So her company name is Attic 24, or her blog site. The designer is called Lucy, and this is just a granny stripe blanket, but done in the colourway of Sweet Pea, the Sweet Pea blanket colourway. So that's what's behind me. Not exactly very professionally put there, is it? But anyway, so yes, so those of you who asked about the wrap, that's what it is. Okay, so finished objects. So the last time I podcast, which was 3 weeks ago, I had this super chunky yarn, and I said I didn't know what to do with it. It had been given to me by a lovely student from the school where I work, and I was like, I don't know what to make with it. can you guys give me some ideas? And I did sort of say I'd perhaps quite like to make something that I could have in the classroom. Now, not surprisingly, quite a few people suggested the emotional support chicken, which I kind of would have gone for, but I just didn't know whether there would be enough yarn to do it. I also had a feeling, because it was like super chunky, that the chicken was going to end up like that big or something ridiculous. And so, having not made an emotional support chicken, yeah, I know, I must be the only knitter in the UK who's not made one. Certainly the only podcaster who's not made one. But I haven't made one, and I just wasn't sure that it was going to work with that yarn, and I didn't want to get halfway through and it to be unfinished, and then I couldn't really see where I could put it in my classroom particularly either. So, but a lot of other people suggested storage baskets, which I thought was a really good idea. So I have made 2 storage baskets, and I don't think they're going to go to my classroom, because even my husband went, oh, they're nice. So they're probably going to stay at home, to be fair. So this is one of the baskets that I made, which is the smaller of the 2, and this used one of the balls of the super chunky. And actually I have been putting Advent mini skeins in here as I've been wrapping them this year's Advent. So as I've been not wrapping, twisting them, they've been popped into this basket before going back away into the storage. So yeah, this was the smaller basket that I made, and then the bigger basket has actually got something in it. So the bigger basket, this is where we find as well that I've probably got ends still sticking out underneath. This is the bigger basket. Isn't it fabulous? So I had 2 balls of the lilac and 1 ball of silver. So I did the silver as the base and then built it up the walls of the basket in the lilac. And it's actually housing all the yarn for a blanket that I'm going to show you shortly, actually. So yeah, this has worked absolutely brilliantly, and so even my husband kind of went, oh, they're cute. So this is probably staying at home. Maybe the smaller one might make it into my classroom. But yeah, so it's a really big size, as you can see, and I used 2 balls of that super chunky yarn to make this one. So I shall show you the blanket from this yarn in a minute, actually, in my whips. So thank you for everybody who commented. I was quite tempted to try and do an emotional support chicken, but as I say, I think actually I'm really pleased with these baskets because I know they will get used, and yeah, they're really practical. So fab idea. I used, what was the pattern? The pattern is called something like Scrappy Crochet Blanket. No, Scrappy Crochet Basket. And oh, I used a massive hook. Something like a 12mm or even 15mm hook. It was a really chunky hook. Because as I say, this isn't just chunky or super, it's like really thick yarn. So that's they're my first finished objects, because there's 2 of them, so I'm counting them as 2. And then my second/3 finished object, another finished object, are the socks that I've knitted and finished for August for the Your Socksy and You Know It knit along. I took these away on holiday, so I think when you saw these I had literally just done the ribbing, and I don't even think I'd finished that. So I took these away on a holiday and knitted these, and they are fabulous. So the yarn, if I can find, oh man, give me a minute. So this is the bag that I've been using all year for the Socksy Make Along. The yarn that I used for August socks was by Sable yarns, who have stopped dyeing, unfortunately, and it was a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, self-striping sock yarn. I bought it from Yarndale last year. The colourway was called Purple Rane, which is a significant colourway for me because I was a huge Prince fan back in my teenage years. So, and I'd seen this at the beginning of the Yarndale weekend, and it was still there on the Sunday afternoon when I went back and looked again, so I bought it. and it's a self-striping colourway, and it comes out beautifully. And then this was the contrast yarn that I used, which I think, and I think I said this before, is from very old stash from when we went to Florida, which was about 2010, 2011, and I bought some sock yarn called Bamboo and You. And I knitted a pair of socks from it, but I had loads left over, and I'm fairly sure that that's what that's from. So let me show you these socks. They are gorgeous. I think these could be my favourite so far. It's better, you can see them better there. If I turn them around that way. So I absolutely love these, and I can't wear them till January. So the socks in You Know It make along. If you are a new viewer, let me explain. Every month this year, I open up a little parcel with some sock yarn that I wrapped up last year. I don't know what will be in it because I can't remember, because it was last November when I wrapped them all up. And I knit a pair of socks, and they were all self-striping yarns, most of them commercial, but not all. Obviously, this is a hand dyer that's done this one, but most of them were commercial yarns, and they've all got a bit of purple in them somewhere as well. So at the beginning of each month, I open up the packet, and during the course of the month I knit a pair of socks. And lots of other people are joining in, so it is a make along. I am hosting it on Ravelry, but if you can't use Ravelry, or choose not to use Ravelry, you can email me a picture of the finished objects, and then I will post that picture in the Ravelry thread, and then when we draw a prize winner, which I do every month, then you know you've been entered in as well. So shortly I will be drawing the prize for the July socks, because I do leave the thread open for 2 months. So the newest one has just opened. Any socks that you cast on in September, they need to be adult socks, and hand knitted, not machine knitted. Apart from that, there's no other rules really. But if you start them in September, you will be eligible to enter those on Ravelry till the end of October. And then at the beginning of November, when I podcast then, I will draw the winner for the September socks. Do you see what I mean? So the August thread is still open. If you cast on a pair of socks during August, you can still enter those till the end of September. So I am going to draw a winner in a minute for the July socks. So I think that's all I need to tell you about these, I guess, apart from just tell you the usual things. This is a vanilla sock pattern. In other words, there's no actual pattern to the socks themselves. They're all just plain stocking stitch. The way I knit mine, that fit my feet perfectly well. I like to do 2x2 rib at the front, at the start. I always do cuff down. I do usually anywhere between 10, 12, maximum of 15 rows ribbing, because usually I'm bored by then and want to start on the stripes. Then I do about 6 inches or so for the leg. I do heel flap and gusset, and however many rows for the foot. I just keep trying them on until they fit. And then a rounded toe, I think it's called, just the standard toe. So, but I to knit these up a tiny bit quicker, I cast on 60 stitches and use 2.5mm needles, and I find they knit up just that little bit quicker. Quite often I'll use 64 stitches, 2.25mm, but if it's just a plain vanilla sock like this, I've been doing it 2.5mm with 60 stitches, and that seems to be working great. So those are finished, and they are really pretty. So hot in here, really sticky and humid. Ugh. Right, so that's my other finished object. So I am going to, because it's the 1st of September, I haven't opened my Socksy packet of yarn for September yet, so I'm going to do that now. Let's see if I can find it. So here it is, number 9. Now I used wrapping tissue paper to wrap them all in last year, which probably wasn't the best idea in the world, because as you can see, I can see it self-striping, but I knew that anyway. And I can see it roughly, it looks quite rainbowish. So we're going to open this up, and this will be the socks for September. That's why they've got number 9 written on them. You can sort of see them. Oh yeah, very rainbow. So I knew it was rainbow, but I didn't really know exactly which rainbow, because trust me, when I wrapped these up last year, I've got so many balls of sock yarn. Right, so it's a West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in the colourway Rum Paradise. Oh, it is awesome, and that is the colourway, the contrast colour, which is a pinky purple, which I'm sure is West Yorkshire Spinner as well, but I honestly don't know the colourway for this one. It's not pennyroyal and it's not amethyst, so I'm going to have to look it up, but it's more of a pinky purple. So that is gorgeous. It's Rum Paradise, which is colourway 822, I believe, and oh, they are going to be a fun pair of socks. But I will not be starting on these for ages, because I have got so many other pairs of socks on the needles. They have to get started and finished by the end of September. Well, not for the make along. If you want to have them finished by the end of October, that's fine, but they need to be started in September. I am trying to stick to getting them finished in the same month as well. That is just fabulous. It's brighter than it's showing on the screen actually, but if you are a West Yorkshire Spinner fan, the chances are you have seen that colourway anyway. It's just going to go amazing with that pinky purple. So I'm looking forward to casting those on. Right, so shall we draw the winner? So this month's winner that we're going to be picking is going to be from July, and in July I was certainly using the theme of Christmas in July, and quite a lot of other sock knitters were. Not everybody, but a lot of the socks in the Ravelry thread for July are Christmas yarn or Christmas colourways and things. So I thought it would be a good idea then for the winner of this month's prize to have a Christmas colourway yarn. So this is the one that I am giving away this month, and it is Stylecraft Head Over Heels in the colourway Cupid, and it knits up like that, kind of a mixture of self-striping and a little bit almost, you know, fake Fair Isle effect. So it is a Christmas colourway. Now if you are in the UK, then you will be getting that as your prize. If you are an international winner, then you will be able to choose a sock pattern of your choice from Ravelry or Etsy potentially, one that I can send you digitally. And that's because the postage costs are really high. For me to post this to the US is now something like £12–13. So if we draw an international winner, you can choose a sock pattern that I will send to you digitally. I think I said up to a value of £7.50 last time, but if you're a UK winner, I will be posting this out to you. Shall we draw? Okay. So I'm going to go onto the Ravelry thread, and I'm going to ask my smart speaker to pick a winner. So our July entries, we had 81 entries, well probably 80, because the first post was probably me saying, here's the thread. Actually it was Nancy, wasn't it, my lovely moderator Nancy, who I do not give enough credit for, because I suspect I was just really busy with exam marking at that point, so Nancy started the July thread, so thank you for doing that for me, Nancy. So we've got 80 entries for this for that month, which is fabulous. Thank you to everybody who's been taking part in this. So I will say the smart speaker, and then I will ask her to, I will ask them to draw a number. Choose a number between 2 and 81.
Here's a number between 2 and 81. It's 56.
Okay, number 56. Let's find a number 56. 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Oh my goodness, I cannot pronounce. I cannot pronounce this username. Sneaglekill. Sneaglekill. Anyway, I will try and put it on the screen below. Sneaglekill. So these are the socks posted by this user. I'm going to see if I can see where they're from. Oh my goodness, we've got an international winner, and we've got somebody from Lithuania. Wow, so thank you for watching all the way from Lithuania. Can I see what your actual name is? Sometimes on Ravelry people put their real name as well, but they haven't. No, but so we've got a Lithuanian winner, so it's an international prize, so therefore I will be gifting a digital edition. Do you know what I'm going to do though, actually? Sneaglekill. I will double check to see how much it would cost to send this, and if it's £7.50 or less, which is obviously what I've said the knitting pattern would be worth, I'll give you the choice if you want me to post it to you and it's less than £7.50, but I will try and find out how much it would cost to send it to Europe. But I know the USA it's like well over £10, that's about £12, something like that, to send it. So I'll see what it would cost to send it to Europe, and then you can have the choice. You can have the yarn if you wish, but if it's over £7.50 to post it to Europe, then I'm afraid it's a digital pattern. Right, congratulations. Okay, so what have I been working on since I last saw you? So it's been 3 weeks since I podcast last because I've been away. Now, I was desperate. I really wanted to record a podcast before I went away, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So busy. And so rather than try and force or squeeze it in with everything else I had to get done, I thought you're just going to have to wait till I get back from holiday. So I took some projects on holiday with me. Of course I did. I took 4 knitting projects on holiday with me, which was ridiculous. One of the projects I took were the August socks, and they probably got most of the work. And then another one that had a lot of work on was this sweater. I knitted on this on the plane, and I knitted on this a bit while we were on holiday. And this is the Vaffel tee by Kari-Helene something. Kari-Helene Rane. And I bought this pattern and yarn at Yarndale show last September. So I had this theory that it would be quite nice to wear it to Yarndale this September. Given how far I've got, I don't think that's going to happen. Unless there's a miracle. And given I go back to work tomorrow, it's not going to happen. So last time you saw this, I'd literally just done 3 or 4 rows. So I have done more than that now. But there's not a lot to see, because all it is so far, it's knitted bottom up, so it's stocking stitch till you, just before you split for the sleeves, then there's a bit of patterning. So that's all I'm doing is the stocking stitch. It is rolling up a bit here. That's partly because I think I started it on one size needle and then felt that I needed to go down just a little bit on the needle, so I went down a bit. So I'm hoping I will be able to block that flat. Let's hope so. Otherwise, if not, it's just going to be a cuff that rolls up at the bottom. Anyway, the yarn I'm using for this is John Arbon Knit by Numbers. John Arbon Knit by Numbers 4-ply. And this is in the old base, which is 100% pure Falklands Merino wool, organically farmed. And this is colour number... colour number 88. So yes, I bought this yarn in Yarndale. It is in this bag, which goes very nicely, as you can see, which was from, I think it's Wildwood Stitches, which is an Etsy shop. Beautiful, beautiful Harris tweed, and this so cute for autumn as well. Lovely autumnal bag. So yes, I cannot see me getting that finished for Yarndale, but there we go, never mind. I'm not going to push myself to finish it because I've got lots of other things that I want to work on as well. It has got this sort of waffle stitch up here and the sleeves. Construction is interesting, so you knit it top up. There's two ways of doing it, so bottom up. There's two ways of doing it. You can knit it flat, so you knit up and then go back over the back and then back down, or it gives you instructions to knit it in the round up until you split for sleeves, and that's the option I've taken. So yeah, it is literally 4 weeks to Yarndale, so there's no way that's going to be finished in 4 weeks because I've got other things that I've got deadlines for that are perhaps more important deadlines in some ways. So, but I knitted it on the plane. I knitted a little bit in the evenings when I was reading my Kindle, but because I knew that I wanted the August socks finished by the end of August, they then became the priority while I was on holiday. Other whips then that I haven't worked on very well. I have worked on this since you last saw them. This pair of socks, if I can find the bag. So I've worked on these quite a bit before I went on holiday, but they've not been worked on since I came back from holiday. And this is a pair of socks for a friend at Knit Group. So yes, I think I had done up to here the last time I did my podcast, and then I'm almost at the toes if I remember rightly. So this pattern, you can see it's got a bit of a cable pattern. This pattern is called A Little Hocus Pocus, and it is by This Handmade Life is the name of the designer. This the yarn is my friend's yarn. She had bought, basically she'd bought herself some sock yarn but can't knit socks, and so she was asking basically, could anybody knit her a pair of socks? I went, yeah, for you. And then by Siobhan, the yarn itself is from Siobhan's Crafts. She is known, I think, really for her very bright yarn. And the mini, contrasting mini, is also by her. So yeah, so my friend Hallie from Knit Group, I'm making them for her. She gave me the yarn months ago, and I said, yeah, I'll make them. And then they didn't get forgotten about, but lots of other things happened. So I was like, I would like to get these finished for her, maybe before Yarndale, because she will be coming to Yarndale with us. Certainly before Halloween though, because obviously the pattern is called A Little Hocus Pocus, so the pattern has a Halloween theme, and I think the yarn, I've just put the ball band away, I'm sure the ball band, the name of the yarn, yes, it's called Creepy, so it kind of had a Halloween theme. So I definitely want to have these finished by Halloween, and so I can give them to her so she can wear them for Halloween. So ideally the middle of October at the latest. The end of September would be fabulous though, because she could even have them at Yarndale if she wanted. So Little Hocus Pocus, I think, is a free pattern. I will try to double check when I'm editing so I can put down here if it is paid for. I'll try and put that down instead, but I think it's a free pattern. Alright, so I'm going to call this episode Socks and Blankets, Blankets and Socks, because there's a lot of socks to show you, but I have also been working really hard on a blanket, and that blanket you did see last time is this one, and it is the Springfrost blanket by the same designer as this one, Lucy from Attic 24. The colourway of this, the yarn colours are so pretty. And I was working on this a few months ago, and my younger daughter, who is at university studying nursing, I said, isn't this pretty? She said, yeah, it is really pretty, really pretty. So then I said to her, would you like it when I finish it? And she was like, yeah, actually I think I would. So that gave me the impetus to try and get it finished before she goes back to university for her second year. And I've only got 10 colours left to put into this blanket, 10 more stripes. Each stripe though is 2 rows of crochet. I've got 10 left to do before it is finished, and this is a double size blanket. Colours are just so lovely. The pattern is really easy. Her blog is fabulous. Gave really clear instructions on how to do a bit of a gauge swatch, how to get set up and get your foundation row and everything done, and it's brilliant. To begin with, I was being very good and sewing in all my ends, but there's a lot of ends left to sew in, unfortunately. But let me just find the stitch, the progress keeper, so I can show you how much I've done since you last saw this. It was quite a bit, and obviously this did not go on holiday, and I've actually marked out in my diary each day how many stripes I need to do, so that I get it finished for her when she goes back to uni. Most days it's well, it kind of, I think I've set it up so it's like 1 stripe one day, 2 stripes the next day, 1 stripe one day, 2 stripes the next day. So progress keeper, where is it? It's all the way down there. Ah, I think it's a gingerbread house. Yeah, so the progress keeper is all the way down there. So I've done all of that since then, and I didn't take it on holiday, not surprisingly. The yarn I'm using is the actual Colourways, the pack that was designed for this blanket, and it's all using Stylecraft Special DK. If you want to go on my Ravelry page, which is linked below, all the different colours are listed on here. Another reason why I really want to get this blanket finished soon as well is then I can weigh all the balls of yarn and see how much this is used, and count that as yarn used out of my stash. Because I set myself a challenge at the beginning of the year to use more yarn that I bought, and at the moment it's not looking good. At the moment I have definitely bought more than I have used. I'm measuring it through length of yarn rather than weight of yarn, and I'm at a big deficit. So at the end of the podcast I will be showing you a little bit more that I have bought in the last month or so. And we have Yarndale coming up. So in theory, from what I've seen on Ravelry, if I get this finished with the board and everything, it should be about 4,500 meters. But I think I'm about 3,000 meters in deficit. In other words, I've bought 3,000 meters more than I've used. So when I finish this, hopefully, I'm going to be able to take out 4,500 meters out of my stash. Yeah, so it's the 1st of September. If I stick to my schedule, I will have all the stripes finished by next weekend. I do not know how long it will take me to do the border, but I want to have it finished by the 15th. Amelia will be going back up to uni that following week, so we will see. That gives me a week to do the border, and I really don't know how long the border will take to do, but it's so lovely. I mean, I could finish it here and it would be big enough for her, but no, I'm going to power through and do the entire pattern, all the stripes that are in the pattern, and then hopefully it will use up about 4,500 meters of yarn, because if I don't do all the stripes it won't use up that much, will it? Oh, so gorgeous. It's 15 different colours in this blanket. That's the next one to go in. That might get done tonight. I think according to my schedule that one doesn't need to be done till maybe even Tuesday, so that's the other thing. If I can get ahead of schedule, that'd be amazing. It is a lovely blanket. So, I said that this episode should be called Socks and Blankets, Blankets and Socks. Let me show you another pair of socks. There's quite a few more pairs of socks to show you. I showed you the Halloween socks that I'm knitting for Hallie. I have another pair of Halloween socks. So this pair of Halloween socks, I don't think I've shown you these. Did I show you these last time? Don't think I did. Oh, one of them's finished. Oh, it's a half finished object. I should have shown you that at the beginning. It's a hoe. A half finished object. So I'm going to put this one on a blocker. Give me a minute. Bear with, bear with. Right, okay, we ready for this? This is another Halloween colourway, and this is actually one of my Halloween colourways for this year. So this is the Little Likac Halloween yarn in the luxury yarn, which is 85% merino, 15% nylon, in the colourway Dracula. So it's a very dramatic red and black. It's a kind of pinky red, but it's a very vibrant red and black. And it kind of micro stripes, but you've also got this little bit of flashes coming through as well. I actually really like how that's come out. Very dramatic. And that's it in the ball. And actually I'll just pop there a picture of it in the skein because it looks fabulous in the skein. As I'm recording this, I think there may be 4 skeins of this left in the shop. I am unlikely to dye this up again now because, so not this year anyway, because I've got so much work still to do on the advents. I've still got 6 colours to dye for the 24 colour advent, and I've got the advents, the 100-gram skeins to do for the 4-week advents as well. So all the dyeing that I do over the next few weeks, the focus will be on advents. And this one is actually a little bit tricky to dye. It's quite time consuming, so you need 2 different pans because you've got the red and the black. So you need 2 different pans on the hob, and it's, you know, not the easiest. I have to really so there's 4 skeins of the Dracula. I think it's 4 skeins left of the Dracula in the shop, and I've got half of the second sock done because I'm on the heel flap. Now again, I'd like to have these finished by the middle of October so that I can be wearing them for a week or so around Halloween. So a bit of a deadline, but I've still got sort of say 6 weeks or so before I need to worry too much about having those finished. I've got this like really dramatic Halloween colourway in a really little pretty bag. This bag was actually from Bellica Yarns, who I was at a yarn show. I was selling at a yarn show, what was it, Wool at Junction 13, last summer 2023, and Bellica Yarns was opposite me, and I absolutely loved this bag, and it's one as well that you can just have on your arm and be knitting away. And then I was selling at a yarn show, the Sodbury Yarn Over, in April this year, and the lovely lady, I can't remember what her name is now, Jo from Pickle Lily, she had got needle minder in the same fabric. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get that needle minder because I've got a bag that's in the same fabric. And then when I got home, I couldn't find the bag, and so it took me quite a while to actually get them married together. There we go. So that is well, I had cast these on the last time I podcast, but I don't think I had them in the office with me, so I think that might be the first time you've seen them. Just to say as well, when I did the Dracula one, I also dyed up one in green and black called Frankenstein's Monster. I took that with me. I took Dracula and Frankenstein's Monster to an in-person show, and the Frankenstein's Monster almost sold out. There was just 1 skein left, which is this one here. So I did dye up some more. Now you can see the second batch that I've dyed, the green has come out quite a different shade. It's more of a yellowy green, but it's still pretty good. So I've kept this one back, and I've put these ones in the shop. This one is on the 75 merino, 25 nylon, and so it's not quite as soft. I call it my soft sock base though, because for sock yarn I still think it's really soft. So I am thinking, actually, I've got this one left that I've taken out of the shop because it's the only one of that colour, and if somebody ordered two or something, I'd want to make sure they've got the same batch. So that's the one that's in the shop now. But I think if I've got time, and maybe not this year, maybe it'll be next year, but if I've got time, I'd like to cast on a pair in this for my husband. So he's got a pair of Halloween socks as well. But that may or may not happen. May or may not happen. So yeah, that one's Frankenstein's Monster. Oh, it's so warm. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to do this again. Right, so let's put that to one side because I've shown you that. What is next on my list? I've shown you the Dracula socks, Hallie's Halloween socks, blah 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 blah. Right. Okay, another whip is the Rothesay set. The hat, not really mitts, arm warmers and cowl. Now, since I last showed you this, I haven't done very much, and then I've made another mistake on it. I keep making mistakes on this, which is really irritating. So I've got to unpick, got to frog back a bit again, which is really frustrating. So this is not, I think when you saw it, yeah, when you saw it last, I was up to here. So I finished that bit, went on to the next section, and then messed it up. So I've got to unpick that row. It's only one row, but it's one row of Colorwork, so it's a bit of a pain in the butt. Because it's really annoying because I wanted to have this finished. So, and like I say, other things now, I've got deadlines. Things like Yarndale and Halloween, I can't change the dates of those. So maybe this won't get worked on now till October, after Yarndale, after Halloween-y things have been finished. But it would be lovely to wear it late October, November time. So I'm knitting that using Jamison and Smith, the Shetland 2-ply jumper weight, in lots of different colours. Again, take a look on my Ravelry page if you want more information. I'm not going to talk about that one very much today. Hopefully I will get back on this one in October, and then I'll talk a bit more about it again then. But I say, haven't done very much on that one. Right, thank you for bearing with me because we are 45 minutes in, but coming up I still would love to show you, so please stay with me. I would love to show you 2 new cast ons, both are socks. I'd love to talk to you about a new project and a new make along that I am joining in with in the middle of September, and I'd love to show you the yarn that I bought when I was on holiday. So I know we're 45 minutes in, maybe take a break if you need to, have another little sip of that drink, maybe get a top up. Hopefully we'll just be 15 more minutes. Please bear with me, stay with me, because I'd love to show you those things. So 2 new cast ons, right, and these are both test knits. What happened here? How did I end up getting myself signed up for 2 test knits in the short space of time? So I applied to do a test knit for quite a big designer, and I didn't think I would get accepted. Meanwhile, a very new designer, somebody who's only designed a few patterns so far, also put out a call for test knitters. So I offered to test knit for her as well. And she got back to me and said, oh, that would be great, lovely. And then, blow me down, the big designer also got back to me and offered me a place on the test knit as well. And I was like, ah! So luckily, both of them only wanted 1 sock completed. And although there was a very short turnaround for the big designer, there was a much longer turnaround for the other designer. So I just about met deadlines. So I'll show you the first one that I cast on. It is in a llama bag for a reason, because the socks are called No Prob-llama, and they are a Fair Isle sock pattern by the designer Julianne. I can't think what her surname is, but she's also known as Twin Stitches Design because she's got twin daughters. So I will show you, back to front. I will show you the first sock. So I had to have one sock completed by a specific date, and I did get that one sock completed, and then I went on holiday. So it's the No Prob-llama socks by Twin Stitches Designs. So you need lots of minis basically, or scraps really, to do this. You've got not Fair Isle really, it's in, no, it wasn't Intarsia, it is Fair Isle, stranded, it's stranded knitting. But you do the little eyes and duplicate stitch. Now she's got there were two different designs for the actual llamas going across the front. So I've got one sock completely finished, took the pictures, gave feedback and everything, so met the deadline for that. And the second sock now, actually, it's not far, you know, I'm onto the leg. No, I've done the leg, I'm onto the foot. I still need to do the duplicate stitch for the actual llama's eyes, and it will need blocking. These I am knitting, I've done the larger size, but I've done them on 2.25mm needles, which gave me the right gauge. And I find anyway with Fair Isle I need to knit a larger size because I struggle to get them over my feet or my ankles. It uses a German short row. I think there were two sock heel options in the pattern. There's a German short row heel or an afterthought heel, and the pattern has now been released, and you've got instructions for cuff down or toe up. I did cuff down, and I did German short row heel, which is not a heel that I'm particularly familiar with, but you know, I did it, followed the instructions. And then yeah, lots of fun with just picking colours, etc. So I am really pleased with these, they are fun. And this is another one though, particularly because it's test knit, I'd like to get the second sock finished. Oh, and I'm hoping by the end of this week coming, so by next weekend, I'm hoping that this will be finished as well, because all I've got now to do is just the stocking stitch foot, and although it involves changing colours quite a few times, it should be fairly straightforward knitting. And it's such a fun pattern. Do take a look at the different colours that people have knitted these socks in. I've gone kind of for more muted. It was partly as well what I'd got, because I suddenly realised I was going to have to rush to get it done fairly quickly before I went on holiday. So it was a case of what I had got. I didn't have time to order anything. These are all minis actually from me, from Little Likac, that I had kind of just in the cupboard from, some of them were from the Mystery Yarn Club last year. And some were just others. I think actually most of them were from the Mystery Yarn Club. Yeah, they were, I think. And in fact this grey was as well. I'm going to show you this grey in a second, because I've used this grey for the other test knit. So the other test knit is for Clare or Clary Crochet Hooker. Sure, that's what her username is. Clare Hockley. And she's designed, I think this is her third pattern, and this one is called Walking on Waves, and it's a really pretty lace pattern with a picot edge on the cuff. So let's show you that. So there's the picot edge, which is a little bit fiddly, but then look at this lace, isn't it absolutely beautiful? Really pretty little pattern, heel flap and gusset. And now we are onto the foot. So the colour, or the sock yarn I'm using for this is Little Likac Luxury yarn, 85% superwash merino, and this colourway was Cinderella. And when I did the Cinderella colourway last year for the Mystery Yarn Club, I decided not to go for Cinderella in her ball gown, but to go for Cinderella, you know, cinders, the ashes. And so it was grey with like little dashes of kind of a purpley lavender in with it as well. So it was Cinderella in the cinders rather than Cinderella in her ball gown. Anyway, it's knitting up really prettily, I think, actually. So it's got a picot edge. I think I messed this up slightly when the last little bit of it, because I seem to have a bit of an angle there, but it's fine on that side. I do find that when you're picking up on a picot edge, it's a little bit fiddly. I shall take more care on the second one. But yeah, what can I tell you? Really pretty. The pattern hasn't come out yet. I think it's due out about the middle of September. But it is, the lace pattern is both chart and written. So if you don't like charts, it's got written instructions. If you do like charts, it's got a chart as well. So look out for that when it comes out. I want to get that. In fact, because I need to send pictures of that. I've given feedback on the actual pattern itself, but I need to take some pictures, and the deadline for the pictures is next weekend, so I need to have at least one sock finished by then. So yes, yeah, somehow I managed to get myself into 2 test knits at the same time when I was going on holiday as well. Never mind. They will, yeah, I've met the deadlines, or I will meet the deadlines. Just gave myself, I do this to myself all the time though. And actually, to a certain degree, I work better under pressure. It keeps me motivated. All right, what else am I going to show you? Let's talk about the blanket project. Socks and blankets, blankets and socks. I have signed up to a knit along that starts on, I think it's the 16th of September. So just in time to finish the Springfrost blanket and then start a new blanket. And the reason I've signed up to this one is because it's actually a knit along for a log cabin blanket. And I have had log cabin blankets in my favourites since I first went on Ravelry. And I think I joined Ravelry in 2007. But I've never actually knitted one. But there's something about them that appeals to me. So Louise Tilbrook, a UK designer, she put up on her Instagram and in her newsletter that she was going to be starting a knit along, which included some tutorials of different ways of designing and creating a log cabin blanket. It's £7.50 to join, but you get her tutorials and patterns for that. And I know there are free patterns for log cabin blankets, but I love knit-alongs in that kind of sense where you get a sense of community. You also then get access to a Facebook group where other people are doing the knit-along are all there. And that group, Facebook group, is already opened. So if you were to join in with that knit-along now, you would get access to that. People are beginning to talk about what yarns they're going to use, etc. So I decided that this would be a really good way as well of using my 20-gram advent swap that I did with Denise Deer from Deer Designs last year. And I've got some cream 4-ply yarn that I haven't got to hand, but I've got, I don't know, at least 500 grams of that I bought earlier in the year because I was thinking of doing a different kind of blanket design with this. So the log cabin pattern that Louise Tilbrook's designed, it says to use it says to use DK or Aran, and this is 4-ply, so I'm going to hold it double. And I've got 20 different scraps, and what I have done is I've kind of bagged them up into sort of colours that I think could go together, because I'm hoping that I'm going to do sort of log cabin squares that I then put together. So I'm not going to show you all 24 yarns, but just to give you an idea, I've picked these out that could potentially go together in squares, but I tried to go with, so maybe kind of like with some contrast, so that there's some contrast between the colours. But pretty much all of these have got pink in them, and then I'll use the cream as well. What I do need to do is rewind all of these skeins, or these mini balls, because I'm going to hold them double. I need to be able to pull from the inside and the outside at the same time. So I'm going to rewind them all into kind of effectively centre, what do they call them? Centre pull balls. Whether I do all of that before I start, I don't know. but I have at least organised them, found them, organised them, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm really hoping it will make a really pretty blanket. Right, bear with me, bear with me. 2 more things to show you. And this is also a bit of exciting news as well. And I was going to tell you about this last time I was on a podcast, but I didn't have the stuff with me, and it was all, anyway, so. I went to a shop in Leek in Staffordshire because I had a meeting arranged with the owner, and that owner is also called Amanda. And the wool shop is called Moreland's Wool and Crafts, and it's in Leek in Staffordshire in the UK. And if you follow my Instagram, you may have seen this already. And the lovely Amanda has is now stocking Little Likac yarn in her shop. So that was really exciting. So I went over, took some yarn over for her to choose which colours she wanted, etc. And while I was there, I also purchased from her. So I purchased this pattern and the yarn to do it. So it's King Cole Cotton Soft Crush. Now this is not going to get done for this summer. This will be for next summer. But it should stripe. Cotton Soft Crush DK. It's 100% cotton, as you'd expect. 210 meters, and I should just about be able to do, hopefully, this. Now, what I love about King Cole patterns is that they often give you 2 patterns or 2 options. Maybe that I just have to go with the best version. I'd like to do the short sleeve version if I can, though. Isn't it cute? Now, the reason why as well this is going to wait till next summer is because the largest size is 40 to 42 inches. And my size is slightly bigger than that. So it could be that what I decide to do is just go up a size in needles and go for a slightly bigger gauge. That's a possibility. Or maybe next summer a 42-inch bust will fit me. Because it's not far off where I am. But I just need it to be a tiny bit bigger than that. And it's a bit disappointing actually that it only goes up to that size bust. So yeah, I may just do it in a slightly bigger needle just to give me that little bit more size to it. Or next summer I won't need to. Right, if you are still with me, thank you. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Last thing to show you. My holiday this year, we had 10 days in North Macedonia, which is in the Balkans, which is kind of over towards Eastern Europe, for those of you that don't know Europe very well. And it's a part of Europe that a lot of British people don't really know much about or think about as being part of Europe, I think, if I'm honest. I think a lot of people in Britain, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people in Britain, when they think of Europe, they think of France, Spain, Italy, maybe Greece, maybe Portugal, Germany. But they don't tend to think so much of the east, more further east. And actually, when I was a kid, this part of Europe was called Yugoslavia, and I did know about Yugoslavia. But Yugoslavia was made up of lots of areas that then became independent. I think they had all been independent countries before and kind of got pushed together into Yugoslavia. And then Yugoslavia broke up. There were some conflicts between some of the countries. And now you have Serbia, Croatia, Romania, I think. Please forgive me if I've got that wrong. I think Romania was part of Yugoslavia, but I could be wrong. North Macedonia, Albania, and other countries around there. So anyway, North Macedonia is between Albania, Croatia, and it is to the east of Italy, and it's got Greece below as well. It's beautiful. It's landlocked, so there was no beach, but there is a massive lake called Lake Ohrid, and they treat a lot of that lake as their kind of their beach area. The water is beautiful to swim in. Not that I did swim in it. We saw lots of people swimming in it. And it's just, do you know what? It's a lovely place to visit. However, usually when we go on holiday, before we go, I will go onto Google Maps and see if there's any knitting shops. I did that. There was nothing. I have a friend who is Serbian. I asked her if she could look because although I know Macedonian language is different to Serbian, there's enough similarity that I thought she would have a better chance of being able to translate things on Google Maps. She couldn't see anything in the area either. When we got to North Macedonia, when we got to the town of Ohrid, we went for a walk and we looked around all the touristy bits, and then we went off the beaten track and we looked around all the locals shops, you know, the streets where there were your garages for getting your car fixed, places to buy your, I don't know, household equipment, etc. Didn't find any knitting shops or anything that was selling wool anywhere. And I was just like, okay, this is going to be a holiday where I don't get any souvenir yarn. It is what it is. A bit like Egypt last year. It took me a long time to find anything. And even then when I did find something, it wasn't great. However, on the last full day of our holiday, we went back into that area and we saw the same market that we'd seen before. But we walked down a different side street. And as we walked past the street, there was a shop, and out the front, it just had bags and hair clips and nothing yarn related. But as we walked past the open door, I suddenly saw at the back some yarn. So I said to my husband, I think it's just acrylic, but there's yarn in there. And he went, yeah, fine. And he sat himself down outside the shop and he went, off you go. And when I went in, although there was some acrylic, actually it was mostly cotton. There was loads of cotton because the lady who owned the shop is a really keen crocheter. And so there was a lot of crochet cotton. There was some very chunky yarn, which was an acrylic wool mix. But I wouldn't know really how much I would have needed to buy to make something. And so I left that, but I did buy some cotton. Okay, so I bought 6 balls, and as is often the case when I go yarn shopping abroad, there was not enough in one colour to make something garment wise for me. So I bought 2 different colours, 3 balls of each, and I'm thinking I will do a stripy top of some sort, because apparently I'm in stripes at the moment. So I'm really going to hope that you agree that these 2 colours can work together. Because they're not colours that I would necessarily think of putting together. But when I held them together, I thought, I actually quite like those. Quite like those together. So we have some cotton yarn. I think it is sport weight. I cannot find this yarn really online anywhere to work it out. It's definitely not on Ravelry. It's 287 metres for 100 grams. It doesn't give you on the ball band, it doesn't give you any idea for what size hook or needle to use or tension. So we're just going to go with it. I'll have to do a little bit of it, but I think it's going to be about the sport weight. It's actually a Spanish yarn, not Macedonian. It is called Rusty Finger. Well, the company is Placencia, I think. And it is Egyptian cotton, which is ironic, isn't it? Because last year in Egypt, I bought acrylic from Turkey. This year in North Macedonia, I've bought Spanish company yarn, which is 100% Egyptian cotton. Keeping it international, guys. We're keeping it international. That is about all I can tell you, because that's about all I could find out. But I'm thinking maybe something like, I was thinking a minute, what is that weird noise? Stu's woken up. Stu's my dog. What's the thing? Yeah, I'm thinking something maybe like the Tolster tea, something like that. I could make, so it will need a little bit of gauge swatching, I suspect. We all know how much I love doing that. But yeah, I figure, what do you think? Do you think that could work? Let's just get the full stripe effect. Let's put another purple on top. Yes, I think so. I think that could work. So I've got 6 balls of it anyway, so that's plenty. Oh, hello Stu. And, you know, it's going to go in the stash. Maybe it'll make something for next summer. Maybe the summer after. Who knows? If you are still with me, I really appreciate it, because we are now over an hour. So thank you, because I think that is me done for now. Alright, I'm just going to add this in. So I've finished recording the podcast and then I remembered something else that I really wanted to tell you about because this is exciting. There is a new yarn show in November in Welwyn Garden City. I struggled there because the yarn show is called Wool in the City, but it's in Welwyn Garden City. They are running a little pop-up yarn show for a week, and then at the end of that week, the 24th of November, is a full one-day show. And I'm going to be there, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully next podcast I'll be able to tell you a bit more information, or certainly by the end of September I'll be able to give you more details. But check that out on Instagram, Wool in the City. Check it out on Instagram, keep an eye open for it, and if you live in that area at all, then, you know, I'd love to see you. Bye again. I will hopefully be podcasting again in 2 weeks' time, which will be the weekend of the 13th, 14th. Let's see how many of these things I've said I want to get finished by then get finished. Remember, the Springfrost blanket needs to be finished by then. Both those test knit socks, the llama socks, the walking on wave socks, need to be finished by then. Let's see if anything else is worked on as well, or if I've cast on something else. Thank you so much for watching, really appreciate it, and yeah, that's it for me from now. If you were the winner, by the way, the winner of the make-along, get in touch with me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.